Welcome to Balcao, an interactive program where we chat with different personalities who have gained eminence in their field from Goa and outside Goa. Such type of personality is here with us who has come specially invited for a particular program of Institute Minis Braganza, Goa College of Art and All Goa Art Masters Association. They have collaboratively had a program called Chitrankur, which is a portrait painting workshop. And this personality has specially come down on invitation. He is none other than a very noted portrait and realistic painter, Devdatta Padekar. Welcome. Tell me about your early childhood and how did you get into art?
Both my parents are artists, so right from my childhood, I was in my home there was an art environment. Actually, I wasn't that you say in a childhood. A child is generally not that an interest has to be developed in that child. So obviously my parents, they provided me with the sketchbooks and sketch pens, and they never provided me with a pencil or an eraser. So subconsciously it somewhere helped me to create that confidence in me, because I knew somewhere that when I draw with a sketch pen, it's not possible to erase. So basically right from my childhood I was kind of and because of the environment at home, which was artistic environment, it helped me to get that create that interest in art especially. And I would say in school I participated in various art competitions, which were like state level or school level or national level, and in it I won. I used to win awards. I think that was more sort of an encouragement, because in a competitive environment to win awards was like a pat on the back. So it created even more interest for me to pursue art later on a more professional level.
So how was your experience? You went to JJ School of Art.
Yeah.
How was your experience there, and what did you learn from that? Did it make you a better artist? Do you feel so your college has really helped you?
Yeah, definitely I would say so, because anyone who is interested in art, as the first priority is Sir JJ School of Art to get an admission, and to get an admission in Sir JJ School of Art is also it's not an easy job. So once I received the admission, when I enrolled in JJ School of Art, the structure itself, it's one of the architectural wonders, and the surrounding environment, the campus, the trees, the nature, it creates a more conducive environment for art. And inside as well, the studios of Sir JJ School of Art are quite spacious, they are vast, and the lighting is perfect. There's light all year round, so that environment, just to study or to draw or paint in that environment itself plays a very prominent role in one's development as an artist. Secondly, the walls of my college were always full with paintings, and those paintings were of artists who had graduated from Sir JJ School of Art, and who later on became some of the prominent artists, prominent Indian artists. So to admire, to see their work and get inspired from them also played an equally important role in my development as an artist, and in my initial years at Sir JJ School of Art.
That was more of a special, or that was more of an architectural influence that you're talking about, or the paintings which were there. But how about influence of actual artists? Like your father was himself an artist, and then probably he had a lot of friends which also made you different sort of an artist. Again, your interaction with other artists, and the isms and all that stuff. How did that influence you?
I would say the prominent influence on my life as an artist in till now, and especially in the initial years, has been through books. It's been through books, especially because, as I said earlier, the art environment was in my home. But my father collected a lot of art books. So those art books where I have a lot of the collection of art books which are very good books for later on when I saw those paintings in museums in Europe. I learned a lot of things which initially I learned from the books at my home. And in college, as I said, it was through the environment, through the paintings, and also through the teaching in JJ School of Art. Later on, when I saw the same, as I said, when I saw the same paintings, original paintings, I think that was something which changed my entire perception towards art, because to see a painting in a book and to see a painting an original painting in a museum are two different things. You learn a lot of things when you see an original painting, and especially a painting by an artist whom you admire or whom you had been admiring since long. And then to see the original, you learn a lot of things, because you can see everything in detail. You could just like go near a painting and observe everything in detail, how the brushwork is, the color scheme, the application of paint, the composition, and so that was for me a very important learning experience.
And you also specialized in portraits, in the sense you are quite famous for your portraits as well, and you have moved towards realistic form of art, which I think is quite difficult. Nobody wants to, now you want everything to be very fast, I would say, and that's the reason nobody wants to get into that grind of going through really hard work to get into realistic form of art. You have got into it. Can you tell us something about your experience with portraits of different people, that you are doing things which are live drawings? You rarely do from the photographs. So how was the experience there?
The portraits, when I was speaking about the kind of work which I concentrate on, or which I have delved into, is I would say figurative work. So now it's not just restricted to portraits. It's when I say figurative work, in which a figure is important, at the same time in my paintings the background is equally important, and the background in my paintings is linked with nature. So the figures are you would say an interpretation with different forms of nature. So the portrait, it's not just and it's not just restricted to portraits. Apart from that, the fundamentals of a figure drawing, that is its drawing quality, its anatomy, then its rendering, and also the character of the sitter. So all these are important aspects in when anyone speaks of a figurative work. These qualities are pretty much challenging, and it's something which is not that easy to achieve. It takes years of practice, years of continuously analyzing yourself in order to go deeper into it. So that's a path which I have chosen, and there are lots of I would say there are innumerous possibilities of figurative. It's not just restricted to okay, this is it.
I've seen in your realistic works recently when you showed, and you have moved them to a different level where you have made them look creative. I mean, rather everything is creative, but portraits rather very rarely you can see are beyond creative a particular point, but you have done it in a very beautiful way, which I have seen. How was your coming to your education part of it? Since after college, after JJ School of Art, you moved to London and then moved to Florence. So how was your experience in comparison to Indian education?
Yeah,
It's important to move out.
A lot of students as well ask this question to me because you see, it's a different culture altogether. When what I studied over here was based on the discipline. Every art college has its own artistic discipline. So what I studied in India and at JJ School of Art was it had its discipline where fundamentals of drawing and painting were given importance, and at the same time the artistic expression was equally given the importance. First, when I went to London to do my masters in drawing, specializing in drawing, I realized that the art college where I studied, the Camberwell College of Arts, the artistic discipline of that art college was entirely different. It was very liberal in terms of approach and in terms of the discipline and as well in terms of the practice. So for me, I wouldn't say it was difficult for me to move from one culturally from one as well as the working discipline of from one part of the world to another part of the world, but I learned a lot of things over there, and I would say I learned a lot of things outside the college, because London is such a place that it is one of the most foremost centers of art and artistic activity in the entire world. And there are numerous museums, there are traveling exhibitions, and there are lots of private galleries which showcase excellent work. And at the same time, walking down the street of London, there are sculptures, architectural heritage structures, which everything consciously and subconsciously it plays an important role in one's development, and it played a very positive role in my development as an artist. So I would say London was equally important for me as much as JJ School of Art.
Okay, and let us move back to Mumbai. Your paintings have a lot of nature in it, and there are vibrant colors.
Right.
Pardon me if I make a mistake there, but Mumbai is sort of dry in the sense it's more commercial. There are a lot of buildings, construction, right, concrete. At you have this vibrant colors and nature. How is that?
You see, it becomes I actually travel around the world, especially in different parts of Europe, to paint. And one thing I observed in Europe was no matter how much developed it is, yet it is in harmony with nature. I think that is an important aspect. For every place, it may be a city, it may be a town, it may be a village, it has to be in harmony with nature. It cannot be one-sided. It cannot be just complete. It cannot be just complete infrastructure and then at the cost of destruction of nature. So as you rightly said, Mumbai is pretty much dry, or rather it is. It was a beautiful city where I grew up, but and I've seen it. But at the same time, I have seen it's it developed to an extent at the cost of destruction of nature. I think that is very sad, and it as an artist, it disturbs me a lot, because my painting has always evolved around the essence of my paintings has been to preserve, respect and live in harmony with nature. Since my college days in JJ till now, it has evolved around this theme. So that's the reason why in Mumbai, in spite of this, in spite of what I see around, yet I try to cut off myself with the with what is disturbing for me, and try not to get it be influenced or be disturbed or be upset by the negative things that I see around in a commercial city like Mumbai, and yet concentrate on what I've been doing and trying to pursue exactly what I've been trying since my early days.
You have done a lot of series as well. One of the series which I think is ongoing right now is Alps,
Yeah.
and Himalayan mountains, and comparison of that. Tell me something about your series in short. I mean, what are the series you have done?
Yeah, the series before the Alps and the Himalayas one, the prominent part from where I started pursuing series was the ballet series. It was titled as Elegance on Rise. So this was in 2007 to 2009 when I was been invited by a ballet institute in Florence called Florence Dance Center. And it was I did a series on the ballet dancers, on what the activity that went in the rehearsal studios. And after that I pursued a series called Feelings, which was, as I said, which was based on interpretation, human forms and interpretation with different forms of nature. And the ongoing series is based on the Alps and the Himalayas, where I've been traveling around different regions of the Alps, around 5 different countries in the Alpine regions. And at the same time I also been traveling in the Himalayan regions, and the first part in the Himalayan region that I traveled to was in the northern Sikkim. So it's that series is based on the mountain, the atmospheric effects, and at the same time both these mountain ranges are have the similarities, and at the same time they have a lot of contrast. So it's my what are the similarities that I observe, the contrast that I observe, and it's my artistic expression. It's not on a scientific or on a documentation level, but it's it's more of my observations on an artistic level.
I also was very curious to know, in fact, you have said yesterday in your speech that you got influenced, or you rather remembered Degas paintings through the belly dancers. I mean, it was a reverse sort of a thing. You remembered that because the influence of Degas is so much that we relate Degas with most of the artists, in fact, trained artists. Can you tell me about some trends that are going on now, and how do you reconcile yourself? Because since you are in a different genre and different line as such, how do you reconcile that? It's not to be very critical, but just what is your observation about modern trends?
There are, isms, I would say it has stopped. It isn't like there is one, an ism, an artist working in particular ism and the other artist working in another ism. So it is now, currently, I would say each artist is working in his or her own style, or what that artist likes or is influenced by. So that is what each artist is currently working on. Speaking about me, I've been, my work is much more on an impressionistic level, and at the same time, it is, as I mentioned, it is to do with the harmony with nature. And the core essence of my paintings, again, which I would like to repeat, is to live, is to respect, admire, and live in harmony with nature.
I would also like to ask you, how do you feel the level of painting or the quality of painting, without being any critical, in India, since you have moved around the world, or rather Europe, and you have seen most of the trends, most of the quality of artists? How do you think we Indians are, even in terms of new trends, even in terms of the classical way of painting?
It's to be honest, in comparing with the West, the art, the current trend, I would say, is the artists are working in his or her own individual manner. Current in the world, the living artists who are there are numerous thousands of artists around the world. It cannot be said that the artists in the West are of a superior, their work is of a superior quality, and the work of Indian artists is inferior. Is not there. But at the same time, there are just a few or a handful of artists in the world whose work is exceptionally outstanding, and they are being admired all over the world, because now, because of internet and all these things, it's more accessible, it's easily accessible. So all over the world there are just a little or a handful of artists whose work is excellent, it's beautiful.
How do you take the critical acclaim that you have got now? You have been talked about, you are being talked about as one of the most promising artists and the future of India. How do you reconcile to that?
No, I've been,
because you are continuously working, and I know
because it just, I mean, I've been not just been painting, but at the same time I've been trying to analyze myself as well, you know, because when I'm working on a series, and when that series takes a form of an exhibition, my main emphasis has always been that my next exhibition should be a step better than my previous one. So it's a continuous state of learning and a state of development, and I think that is very vital for any artist, because all these things, the acclaim and criticism is going to come, but it shouldn't affect the artist in any, you know, nor in a negative manner, or nor in a very overconfident manner. So to me, it just doesn't affect me. I just don't give much importance to that.
what do you have to say to, you are young as such, but what do you have to say to people who are just getting into fine arts college, or trying to be or thinking of being a great artist? What do you think
every individual who enters into a fine art college has a dream of becoming an artist, but a very few are successful in it, and there are different reasons for being, I wouldn't say unsuccessful, but the first and prominent thing in it is the dedication, and that somewhere later on, an individual tends to lose the focus. I think, as I said, irrespective of the success or the criticism, that focus should always be there. Even for me as well, there were times when it was pretty much frustrating, and it was, you know, you say there are ups and downs in everyone's career. And but from that you learn a lot of things, and it helps you in your development, and in the long run establishing yourself as an artist. I personally feel that no matter you gain what acclaim or success, whatever success you get in your lifetime, but yet if your work is good, you definitely receive the recognition that your work rightly deserves. And this has been, we have seen this through history as well. There were lots of times when the artists became famous, or they received the recognition after they were dead, but their work, I still, when we see the works in the museums, we still admire the artist based on the work, not based on how rich or poor the artist was, or of which nationality the artist was, or through what hardships the artist had. One, it's purely based on the merit of the work that the artist, an artist is admired.
What are your future plans?
My future plans has been like till now. I always, as I said, I've been traveling around different parts of the world, painting subjects which I found challenging and inspiring, and that's how my journey would, I still take forward from where I began with, and hopefully in the future I would come up with some subjects or a series which I would personally I would love if I could reach a conclusion to say that okay, this has been one of my best series so far.
Thank you very much for being with us, and it was nice talking to you. We spoke to and we had a beautiful chat with Devdatta Padekar, a young artist who shows a lot of promise, and he is the promise of India as far as realistic work is concerned, as far as creative work is concerned. It was a very, very beautiful interaction. I am sure you all have enjoyed this program Balcao of 365, and let's meet again next time.